Hello, welcome to Casio Middle East Education Division. In this video, I will talk about the integration between math and technology and the technology which available between our hands. So I will talk about Excel sheet, how to simulate a projectile motion, and I will talk about the graphic calculator from Casio FX-CG50, how to draw a dynamic graph, and finally regarding the standard scientific calculator from Casio FX991EX, how to use it in order to draw a graph for a function. So let's get started with the Excel sheet, how to simulate a projectile motion by using Excel. Let's assume that we are throwing a ball in the air with the following given information. So I have three things: the requirements, the value, and the unit. So starting with the velocity v, let's assume that the velocity is 70 meters per second. And the angle of the throw is 30 degrees. And we have gravitational force which will act towards the ground. So the acceleration from the gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. And finally, we need to add time steps, which will be 0.2 seconds to calculate the ball's position and the movement. I will highlight this table. We will use these values in our calculations. So we need to calculate the trajectory of the ball in the air. So let's define the time starting with initial, which is of course 0. So each time will increase by 0.2, and I will add the dollar sign to lock the cell, and the time will increases with the interval of 0.2 seconds. So let's drag the time and we can see how the time increasing. Now let's take the velocity in x direction. So the velocity is equal to the original velocity, which is 70, multiply with sine of radians of the angle 30 degrees. And of course we will add the dollar sign. So the velocity in x direction is 35. And of course the velocity in x direction is the same, since after 0.2 seconds the acceleration, which is acting opposite to the velocity of the ball, so the velocity of x direction will be the same, but the velocity of y direction will change. So let's evaluate the velocity of y. So the velocity of y direction will equal to the original velocity, which is 70, multiply with the cosine of radians of the 30 degree. And of course we will add the dollar sign. Because the velocity of y direction will change, so we will add the initial velocity and subtract the gravity, multiply with time steps, and we will add the dollar sign here and here. So you can notice now how the velocity of y direction change. So the velocity of y direction is changing while the velocity of x direction is same. Now let's evaluate the distance and position x and y. At the very beginning the ball was at the position 0 and 0. So initial value of x is 0 and y 0. Then the position will change according to the time. So x will become initial position plus the velocity times the time steps. Of course, we are talking about the velocity of x direction. And don't forget to add the dollar sign. The same for y. So we will add the initial value of y and add it to the velocity of y direction, multiply with the time steps. Now let's drag all these values up to, let's say, 500 or 690. And in order to simulate the projectile motion, so let's highlight these values, adding borders. I will use only x and y values in order to draw the graph and simulate the projectile motion. Okay, all the values, and from insert I will choose scatter. I will use this one, and of course I have to modify the x and y axis. So y axis will start from 0 and the maximum value will be, let's say, 300. Now we can see the graph clearly. And regarding the x-axis, we will modify it to be the maximum starting from 0, of course, and the maximum value will be 3000, let's say. And now we can see the graph. Okay, let's modify the values of velocity and the angle, and we can see how the projectile motion modified according to the values of velocity or the angle. So this is how to simulate a projectile motion by using Excel. That's it. This is the end of this session. Now I will move to the CG50 graph calculator. Regarding the Casio graphic calculator FX-CG50, in order to draw a dynamic graph and we can see the change of the coefficient of, for example, x squared, use the following steps. Firstly, from the menu button at the main menu, I will choose the dynamic graph. So this is the main page. I will type any function. Let's choose a quadratic equation. So I will add a variable like a x squared. So ax squared, this is the function, and a, it's a variable, and we can choose the domain, can choose the values of a. So after you type the function, use F4 in order to enter the variables. So the dynamic variable will be a, and we can set the domain of a. So starting from -5 up to 5 with one step. So use the exit button in order to go back and press here dynamic. And now we can see how the graph change according to the value of a. By using this dynamic graphs, we can know how the function can be changed according to the coefficient of x squared, when it's negative or positive, with the high value, with the low value, and when it's 0. So this is how to use the graphic calculator of FX-CG50 in order to draw a dynamic function. Press AC to stop the motion, and you can go back by using exit in order to type another function. Regarding the standard scientific calculator FX991EX, how to see a graph of a function. So by using this button, the menu, you will see the main menu, and by using the down arrows, go to the table number 9, type the function. So let's assume that we have 4 minus x squared. This is my function. Press equal. If you have another function, you can use it. If you don't, just press equal sign. And now you can add the range of the table of the function. So let's write it from -5 up to 5. Press equal sign, you can see a table of this function. In order to see the graph, just press Shift and this button in order to activate the QR code. You can see this is the QR code. Use your phone or press with the computer this, and you can see your function, and this is the graph. So it's a small technology between our hands, but maybe we don't know how to use it in these situations. So these are the 3 ideas that we would like to share it with you. So how to simulate a projectile motion using Excel sheet, how to use your graphic calculator from Casio CG50 in order to do a dynamic graph, and how to draw a function by using standard scientific calculator. So the whole idea talking about educational technology, and this technology is simple and available anywhere. It's between our hands. Visit our website casiocalculators-mea.com in order to find more educational resources, and thank you for watching this video.